Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2022-23 season, and welcome to the first strategy stream of the season, the Game Week 2 strategy stream. So guys, pretty much every single game week on a Monday, we're going to do a stream where we're going to kind of digest last game week's action and try and think how we're going to move forward from the previous game week. If there is a game on the Monday, then we'll do the stream after the game. But if not, we'll do the stream at 8 PM UK time. So this will be every single game week. Hopefully, unless like I'm busy or something, but that'll be the only exception. Also, there'll be now Monday videos, so you may have already seen. We've already uploaded a video. We've done a tier list video today on Monday. If you enjoyed that, then we'll do some more of those. But yeah, here we are in back in the stream zone. If you do enjoy this one, please do like, please do subscribe. Massive shout out to those of you who are live in the chat. Who have we got in the chat? I'd like to give a quick shout out to the members who are in the chat. She Loves Ben 23 is here. Who else have we got? Moises ST, Calvin Fernandez, Off-Core, Joshy Boy. Hello guys, thank you for joining me for this strategy stream. Jeremy Baker is here as well. And yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. This is going to be an interesting stream because we know what this time of the season is like. Often, you know, when we're making content in the early season, a lot of the viewers are people who typically don't play full seasons or don't, or maybe it's their first season, or maybe they don't really engage with content later on in the season. And they are, you know, the kind of people who very much panic at the beginning of the season. So what we're going to do here, guys, is if you are new to FPL, or if this is the first time you're really taking FPL seriously and going through the whole season, and usually you kind of switch off after a few game weeks, I'm here to tell you guys, don't panic. Don't panic. If you know, I've had a very, very bad, well, I say very bad, I've had a below average game week 1. It's not the start I wanted. It's not the start I expected, but I am here to say, calm down. Everything is okay. We've spent a lot of time working our way up to game week 1, building our team. But did we build our team for 1 game week? No, we did not. Did we build our team for 2 game weeks even? No. We all built our game week 1 teams with a view to get the most amount of points between probably 4, 5, 6 game weeks. So that's what we're aiming to do. Don't judge your entire FPL season on 1 game week. FPL is a funny old game where, you know, the only result that really matters is what your score is at the end of game week 38. But because it's broken down into individual game weeks, it's very, very easy to kind of feel disappointed in some game weeks and feel very excited in other game weeks, when really it's just about calming down. We've got a long season ahead of us. And I'll tell you what, guys, if we find out by game week 4 or 5 then that things have not gone to plan at all, we're still all outside the top 1 million players or whatever, then at that point that would be a very good time to say, okay, maybe we made some mistakes. But honestly, in 1 game week, I think it's very, very difficult to say whether you've made mistakes or not based on the data from 1 game week. Yes, we can say some players we really like the look of, some players we don't like the look of, but it's just 1 game week's worth of data. And you know, all of the superstar FPL managers, and I definitely don't consider myself to be one of them, but none of them make decisions based on 1 game week. They always take multiple game weeks into consideration. So I really hope that helps you. I really hope that calms you down. It works both ways. If you had a bad start, don't worry about it. Maybe game week 2 you'll start to catch up, and then after game week 4 maybe you're looking golden. But even if you had a good start, it may be that you've got on the right end of luck this week, but maybe in a future game week it might not go so well. So it works both ways. Try not to judge your entire season based on 1 game week, because that's not how it worked. And guys, I mean, yes, had a bad start, but I don't know how you guys are feeling, but I'm just so excited. I'm just so excited that FPL is back. Like, genuinely, I'm just so grateful to be able to play at this game right now. So there we go. There's a little bit of Monday motivation for you, I suppose. We got a super chat in the chat already today from Sasagiara. Thank you very much for the very generous €5 donation there. I really appreciate that. I have a question on Perisic. What do I do this game week? Bench him for Andrea, sell him for Walker, or play him and hope he plays? Okay, so Perisic didn't play in game week 1. We know that, but he played some minutes off the bench, and you get the idea that he is getting closer and closer to getting game time. Now, I don't know if any of you guys watched the Spurs game, but did you see the positioning of the left wing back and the right wing back? It was utterly crazy. Everything was going through Sessegnon and Emerson, and you kind of really got the idea that Perisic is just primed and ready to slot into one of these positions. Well, probably going to be on the left wing, right? And when he's in that left wing back position, he is going to be on the end of so many chances. He's going to be in the right place at the right time all the time. He's going to be taking more shots. He's going to be putting crosses in, and he's going to get so many opportunities to score goals. He is made for this left wing back role. He really is. So, are we going to panic? No, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that he got some minutes. I think we know that Perisic is going to be a part of the plans for Spurs this season. And I think he's going to do very well whenever he gets game time. Now, it's going to be difficult to work out when he's going to get the game time. I would not necessarily be bringing in Perisic right now, but I have to say Perisic is one of the highest players on my radar, which is, a perfect example of it's not all about the points. Perisic got 1 point last game week. That doesn't mean he's a bad FPL pick, because if you look at how Spurs are set up right now, if you look at the potential of a real, who is essentially an attacker playing in that position, once he's ready, available, fully fit, the points potential is enormous. So look into the future. Really, really like Perisic. Thought about bringing him in this game week, but I think, to be fair, if I was to bring him in, it would probably be for Reece James. And I think between James and Perisic, it's kind of probably, not worth the switch when they play each other, right? It's a difficult game, Chelsea. We're probably not expecting Perisic, if he does start, to get as many points as he perhaps would do on a different game week, but I definitely think he's a good pick. If I had him, I wouldn't be removing him. But if I didn't have him, I'd probably just wait till maybe game week 3 before going for him. So, yeah, definitely don't panic about Perisic too much. I think he's going to be very good. I would probably play him over Andreas as well. So, yeah, bit of positivity about Perisic there as well. FPL Maverick says Mount was very bad. Is Mount to Saka a good move? Very bad is perhaps a little bit harsh. And again, I do want to reiterate that we're looking at one game week, right? Next game week could be completely different. Unfortunately for Mount, next game week is against Spurs, so you can understand why people are slightly less patient. I did like the look of Saka. I can understand why someone would make the transfer move of Mason Mount to Saka. In fact, if I had Mason Mount, I would be very strongly considering making that transfer, to be fair. So that's kind of up to you. I don't hate it. I don't hate that as a transfer move at all. I'm guessing you guys will, I'm already seeing so many people in the chat already saying, is it time to play the wild card? Yeah, this is kind of what I was going on about at the beginning of the season. Please, guys, if you built a good team, don't be panicking too quickly. I mean, if you look through your team and you've got loads of injuries, or you've got players who are actually terrible, then fair enough. Maybe it is time for wildcard. Maybe if you really messed up on your game week 1. But you need to kind of work out, did you actually mess up, or did you just not get as many points as you were hoping for? For example, looking through my team right here, we have got some low scores here, right? We've got Trent Alexander-Arnold and Robertson both on 1 point each. Are you seriously telling me right now that Trent and Robertson are bad picks in FPL just based on that one game week? Because if you are, you're absolutely crazy. So players like that don't need to go whatsoever. Harry Kane, 4 goals for Spurs. An insane amount of goals for Spurs. Thank you very much, Daniel Hart, by the way, for becoming a member of the channel. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Are we seriously now saying that Kane is a bad pick, a bad player? Spurs scored 4 goals in that game. That's the first time. It's the first time I think in over 3 years where Son and Kane have been on the pitch this is it. Right, sorry. Get my words straight. The last time Kane and Son were both on the pitch in a game in which Spurs scored 4 goals or more was over 3 years ago. It's crazy. When Spurs score that many goals, even through the entirety of pre-season, usually Kane and Son are going to be heavily involved. So this was a bit of a freak. It really was a freak. And I know, I'm sure a lot of you guys, and I've had a lot of comments, a lot of tweets, a lot of Instagram, messages and things like that. People saying, I can't believe you made me choose Kane over Haaland. I hate you. You've ruined my season. All of these very, very dramatic, crazy out there kind of statements. Look, fair enough. Steve, welcome, and Spencer as well. Thank you very much for joining the channel as a member. Use those emojis, get those messages in the chat, and I'll make sure I'm looking out for you guys in the chat with your messages. But yeah, look, everyone, like even Haaland owners expected Kane to outscore Haaland in game week 1. It didn't work out. It didn't pay off. That doesn't necessarily mean that the decision was wrong. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to happen every time. It's one game week. I just really just want people to just calm down a little bit. We don't necessarily need, unless your team is just bad, then fair enough, wildcard. But if your team is bad because you have Robertson and Alexander-Arnold, who you've now decided are bad, or, Neto or Bailey. Neto played quite well, I thought, actually. Bailey, I was a little bit more disappointed in. I was disappointed in Aston Villa in general, to be fair. If you've got players like that, are they suddenly bad? I don't personally think so. I don't think they need to be rushed out. So, yeah. Maybe these are kind of things that you can fix with just one transfer. Sasa again, hi again, mate. Darwin or Foden captain this game week. Have you not got Salah? I don't think I'll be taking a risk on Foden personally, just in case he doesn't play. There's, these Manchester City midfielders. The reason why I didn't even go for any in the end is just because they're just not worth the hassle. They're not worth the drama, the risk. We've already seen what's happened with Mahrez. Even the other guys who did play, even a Grealish and a Foden, no points for them either. So even when they do play, you might not necessarily get points, and you have to count on them playing. It really is an absolute... it really is, an absolute nightmare, isn't it? Absolute nightmare. So, yeah, Foden, I wouldn't be captaining. Too risky. Darwin, I would consider captaining, I suppose. I was really impressed by Darwin Nunez. So, Hill says, what to do with Mahrez? Have 2 million in the bank, confused AF. I would keep him. Because, look, there is absolutely no logic in Pep's rotation whatsoever. But some people think that if a player doesn't play one game week, it means they're more likely to play the next game week. And if that's true, then in that case, then Mahrez plays the next game week. And if he does and he plays against Bournemouth, then maybe it's okay. People saying should we use the free hit? Should we use the triple captain? Should we use the bench boost? No, definitely not. Look, this is just what these first initial few game week streams are going to be like. And I do apologise for any of you guys watching who are a little bit more experienced at FPL, but I do want to make sure we are trying to help out everyone, our newer friends to the game and everyone. It is too early to play your chips. You don't want to be triple captaining. You don't want to be free hitting it. It's too early for that kind of thing. We're going to get plenty of opportunities in the future. Double game weeks, blank game weeks. We'll explain what those are a little bit later on in the season. And those are your prime opportunities to use your chips. Those are the times in the season where you really get the maximum mileage out of your chips. So although it's not technically wrong to use your chips now, if we're talking about the optimal strategies, the right strategies, I don't really like the word right, the most likely to gain kind of strategies, the mathematically best strategies, then we certainly will not be touching any of our chips yet. But look, I'm not going to tell you don't do it. I'm going to advise you not to do it, but it's completely up to you at the end of the day. And if you feel strongly that you'd like to do it, then absolutely go for it. Little boy in the chat. Thank you very much for the super chat. Should I captain Haaland or Salah in game week 2? I mean, the temptation would be to captain Haaland at this point after game week 1, right? That's probably what I would do. So yeah, maybe go for that. They are both good captaincy picks though. It may be kind of tight. I think Salah's got a pretty good record against Crystal Palace actually. But yeah, it's kind of up to you. Adastra says, I've Saka and Mount, want Mount out, but don't know for who. I'm stuck. That's an interesting question. Martinelli, maybe. I wouldn't worry too much about the budget. I like Martinelli as a pick a lot, to be fair. In terms of 8 million midfielders, you could maybe go for Kulusevski, but I don't think ahead of a game against Chelsea is necessarily the right moment to go for Kulusevski. But maybe go for, Mount to Martinelli, or just keep Mount. I think you could do a lot worse than to give him a second chance. If you haven't got any ideas of players you wanna move to, then maybe just give him a second chance. It's early. We're one game week in. We're so early in the season. Nathan says, if Guedes gets his move to Wolves, thoughts on what his price would be and should we be looking at bringing him in? The general rule is that when a player initially arrives at the club, we probably don't want to bring them in because it's likely that their first appearance is probably going to be a sub appearance. Probably game week 1. not game week 1, but the first game week in which he arrives at the club, he's probably going to be on the bench. Second game, probably on the bench again. He'll get maybe 1 or 2 substitute appearances over that period. And then it's usually the second or third game where we actually see the player starting. So we'll actually have a good opportunity. If Guedes moves to Wolves, we will have an opportunity to have a little look at him before we go for him. So yeah, no panic, no rush on any new players signing for clubs or anything like that. I wouldn't be thinking about that too much. McAlvin says that stats, Salah has always blanked in game week 2. Yes, that is actually true, but I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. I don't think there's any particular reason that there's no reasoning behind it. I think it's just one of those things where it's just a coincidence kind of thing. I mean, unless you are of the superstitious variety, in which case, fair enough. There are worse things to make your FPL decisions on than superstition. That's for sure. So yeah, maybe one to think about. Those of you guys still talking about Perisic. Yeah, Perisic, I would not be moving on. I actually really kind of want Perisic. I'll probably be getting him in. I'm looking at getting Perisic in at game week 3. That's kind of the time I've eyed up the Perisic move. Yeah, I think so. How I'm going to do it, I haven't quite decided yet. I'm kind of split between either taking out Robertson and then bringing in Darwin Nunez at some point, or just doing the straight swap James to Perisic and freeing up that 0.5 elsewhere. But yeah, there are options. But Robertson down to Perisic, and then maybe Jesus up to Nunez is a possibility. It's an option. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But there's plenty of time to decide, and no point rushing into anything like that, is there? Nothing wrong with waiting. Okay. Real King TV says Perisic will be a starter once he's starting. Yeah, I do agree. All right, in terms of strategy, guys, though, I think for the most part, unless you hate your team, look, it's difficult because this is a strategy stream and we're meant to talk about serious strategy here. But at the same time, it is important that we keep FPL fun. And if you are just really disappointed with your team, then okay, and you really just want to switch things up completely, then fair enough, make those transfers. But what I would say, and I was going to tweet this, but I think I saved it in my drafts. But if you don't if you don't take a -4, if you just make 1 transfer this week or 0 transfers this week, you are going to have a huge advantage. Because particularly if you're slightly lower down in the ranks, what most people are going to do who are slightly lower down in the ranks, who had a poor start, what most of these people are going to do, and maybe there's a few of these kind of people watching right now, they will take a -4, they will take a -8, they will take a -12, they will panic, they will change everything in their team, they will remove good players for other good players because they panic. They'll remove players like Trent and Robertson, and they'll remove players like Kane and Son and whoever else just because they didn't get points. They'll remove Foden's and Mahrez's. All of these, even Jesus, who, by the way, looked phenomenal in that game against Crystal Palace, and that is the hardest game he has in the opening 5 out the way. People will panic transfer these players out for -4s, -8s, -12s. And when that happens, this early on in the season, you are going to skyrocket in rank. If the average person around your rank is taking a -4 or a -8, then just by them doing that, you can just sit on your hands, do absolutely nothing, and see yourself go up the ranks. Because most people panic. They panic transfer out good players. That's literally not what we want to do. It's not what we want to do. We want to calm it. We want to calm it down. Look, there's disappointment. I mean, I should be more disappointed than I am. But at the same time, I'm a little bit excited. To be fair, having this bad start. The last season, game week 1, without using any chips, after game week 1, I was ranked 14,000th in the world, which is just completely crazy. Absolutely crazy. So it's not something that happens all the time. But this season presents a slightly different challenge because now I've got to climb. And I'm kind of excited. Last season coasting is the wrong word because it was actually really hard to maintain that rank last season. But it was more of a defense. Whereas this season, well, so far it looks like it's going to be a little bit of an attack. But you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. FPL Raptor is in the chat, says, "Oh my God, Dan, can't believe you made everyone that ever watched your video go for Kane and Robertson. Bloody YouTube content creators." Mate, I was saying earlier on in the stream, like, it is absolutely crazy. Reeve says, "I came to his house with a gun." It is actually crazy, the amount of comments that I've got. People absolutely furious with me for making them pick a player. Like, for one of the comments, like, I saw, I think, like, an hour ago said, "I can't believe you made me take out Zinchenko." And I was thinking, huh? I've been gassing up Zinchenko all pre-season. And people were calling me crazy, saying it's too early to go for him. He's not safe. He's too risky. I've been gassing up Zinchenko so much. But I think if someone is just, on these YouTube channels to copy rank, then... And they copied rank, copies teams, and they've copied my team, and it hasn't gone very well. I'm kind of glad. I'm kind of glad. If you're the kind of person who copies someone's FPL team and then complains when it doesn't go perfectly every game week, kind of want you to do bad. I kind of, look, make your own decisions, own your own decisions. Like we say this so many times. FPL content creators have the best job, well, in my opinion, the best job in the world. I absolutely love it. But one thing that always seems to stick around is people blaming you for their decisions. FPL is so much more... Actually, is FPL more enjoyable if you are making your own decisions? I don't know, because I guess if you don't make your own decisions and things don't go right, I mean, you can just say, "Oh, it's not my fault." You kind of just absolve yourself of the blame. I don't know if that's healthy. I don't know if that's healthy. FPL Raptor says, "Tell me what to do with my transfers. If it goes well, I will take credit. If it goes badly, I will blame you." How does that sound? Yeah, Ross has absolutely nailed, like, a certain portion of FPL content consumers. I'm sure Ross is completely, getting exactly the same kind of messages, because that's what it is, isn't it? It's fine. It is what it is. It is what it is. Like, it's quite crazy. Like, I can't believe, how dare me? I didn't suggest at one point at the start of in the preseason, I didn't suggest once to go for Pascal Gross. I didn't suggest once to go for Fabian Schär or Schär. These players scored 15 points each, and I didn't suggest them once. You should blame me. Blame me for not identifying those players. Blame me. It's fine. Look, it is genuinely fine. Honestly, to be fair, I think FPL content should just be like just something to watch, something to enjoy. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry if you feel like I made you do anything. Honestly, like I always try and reiterate as much as possible that in my team selection videos, the decisions are my decisions. They're my team. The rest of the videos are advice for your team. The team selection video is about my team. It is not advice. I'm just showing you my team. Reeve says, "How was Fez?" It was good, mate. It was actually really, really good. I think I would probably say it's the best one so far. It was a shame that you weren't there, man. You'll have to come to the next one. I think they're going to do another one around winter, if you're available, my friend. But there we go. In terms of strategy and what we do next, I think there's two. Depending who you are and what your team is looking like, I think there's multiple ways of going from here. I think the Kane to Haaland move is a good transfer. I think that's an obvious transfer, and I wouldn't blame anyone who would go for that one. I think, to be fair, a lot of people, even Kane owners going into game week 1, were kind of hoping Kane to outscore Haaland in game week 1, and then they kind of plan to make that transfer in game week 2. A lot of people have planned to make that transfer already. A lot of people probably feeling even more convinced to make that transfer this game week. If you've got 0.5 in the bank, then I would probably advise you to do it. If you've already made that transfer before the price changes, I guess good for you. And I think that would be a good move. Aside from that, genuinely, I feel like that is one of the only transfer moves that really sticks out to me. Maybe another transfer moves are players like let's have a look at the most transfer players in. I already pre-prepared this actually because I'm very, very organised today for some reason. So yeah, Haaland, very obvious, very, very obvious. I think if you're disappointed with a defender, then Zinchenko really stands out to me as a good pick, a good player to go for, and that's not just knee jerk. I think he played very well. And I kind of like the idea of him moving it into midfield at some point in the near future as well. Big fan of Zinchenko. Maybe a bit of Arsenal bias, but we move. So I like Zinchenko. Thought Mitrovic put in a terrific performance. Again, trying not to be too knee-jerky here. Trying to not just follow the points, but Mitrovic looked very good. If you've got a forward that you are, let's have a look at forwards transferred out and defenders transferred out. So in terms of forwards, Kane is kind of optional transfer out. Jesus, I would definitely not transfer out. Martial, okay. If you have Martial to Mitrovic is super, super obvious. Watkins to Mitrovic, really obvious. Havertz to Mitrovic, I would consider that one as well. Even like Ronaldo to Mitrovic, to be honest. So yeah, lots of players I would consider selling for Mitrovic. Even like if you have got only two Liverpool players in your team, and you have got that spare Liverpool slot, if you like, if you can get to Darwin, I would probably do it. Like if I had a Ronaldo, I would probably move straight from Ronaldo to Darwin. If it's going to take a -4, then it's a little bit trickier. I don't really know who I would take out for a -4. But I guess that's going to depend on your own personal teams. In terms of defenders, there are a few players I would remove for Zinchenko. I would not remove Perisic. I would definitely not remove Alexander-Arnold. Cucurella was just not a good pick for Game Week 1. I don't know why anyone thought he was a good pick for Game Week 1, but like 10% of people had Cucurella in Game Week 1. Why? Like someone please explain that to me. Why did so many people do that? Yeah. Would I transfer him out at this point? Probably not. I think he's actually going to provide really good value at 5 million. So I would actually consider keeping him. Van Dijk I would possibly remove because I feel like he's a bit of a waste of a Liverpool slot. And then you got other players like, are people really taking out Cancelo? Some of these seem quite mad, to be fair. Mings I don't mind taking out, James I wouldn't take out. Cash I would, I was really disappointed. Really disappointed. I mean, I know Everton next, but Aston Villa just did not thrill me at all. I don't know what you guys thought about Aston Villa at the weekend. Didn't look good. Not a good start for them at all. But again, it's one game week. Are we really going to rush into it? I think basically, I know this is really boring, but it really seems like okay, people in the chat saying let's talk FPL had Cucurella. Why? What? I mean, like, I don't watch his videos, so I didn't know he picked him, but I would love to hear the reasoning for that because it was so obvious he was not going to start in Game Week 1. So obvious. Or did he start him on his bench, or did he just take the 0-pointer? I don't know. Seems like an odd move, but I mean, fair enough. I mean, he's a very good FPL manager. I'm sure there was some logic there, but I mean, I'm not going to backtrack here. Really, I still think that was a terrible shout. Like, I was very vocal before before the deadline. It was a terrible shout, and I'm still be vocal about it now. I think going forward from here, he's probably going to be a good pick. But for Game Week 1, yeah, okay. I don't know about that one, Chief. Jandre says, I have Salah, KDB, and Kane. Should I swap KDB to Haaland and keep Kane, or keep KDB and sell Kane? This is why I started the 3 million. Thanks, Dan. I wouldn't. No, because if you swap KDB to Haaland, then it's going to take you a -4 to do that. If you just go Kane to Haaland, then I would do that. I wouldn't be taking out De Bruyne. I think De Bruyne, like, arguably could outscore. There was no reason to say that De Bruyne couldn't outscore Haaland. He gets more points for goals. He gets clean sheet points. And we know he's a phenomenal player who's super nailed on. So, like, I wouldn't... If I had De Bruyne right now, I'd be pretty excited about that ahead of this game week. I'm not going to lie. And then, Haaland, I would be adding maybe there to spice things up a little bit. Bit of fun. A bit of fun there. Yeah, look, I think I think Haaland is the obvious player to get in this week. I think Zinchenko is an option, but I would not, honestly, would I even be using a transfer right now? If I already had Haaland, I probably wouldn't be even using the transfer this week. I don't think there's anything. I don't think there's anything to. I don't think there's any reason to really rush and panic and make crazy transfers. So, in the ultimate, most boring strategy stream that we'll have all season, I did want to make this stream because I did want to show you guys that I haven't done very well this game week. I don't want to hide, I don't want to hide my scores. I want you guys to know exactly where I'm at. It's, in terms of my game week scores, it wasn't a good score, but I wanted to also come here and say, look, it's not panic time yet. Wait till game week 4, 5. That's when we can kind of look back on our decisions. We built these teams for a reason, and unless you really are kind of seeking to get Haaland, and unless you are really, really seeking to, remove certain players from your team, players like Neto, Bailey, I don't think you need to remove them. I don't think you need to panic them out. Those Liverpool defenders, you definitely do not need to panic these players out. I mean, let's have a look at some of the most transferred players out. Just as an example, obviously we'll do buy, sell, keep, avoid tomorrow, and we'll talk about some keeps. But look, going through this list of most transferred out players, there's very few I would be rushing to take out. Like Kane, if it wasn't for Haaland, there is no reason to take out Kane based on one game week. I mean, I didn't think Chelsea looked that good defensively, and I think Kane could actually potentially do some damage there. It would be very FPL for Kane to actually outscore Haaland. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that would just be, FPL in typical FPL fashion, because football is unpredictable. We can just do our best to predict it, but we can never get it 100% right. Jesus, no way would I sell him. He was, an absolute star of the game week. Perisic is actually one of my transfer targets. No way I'd sell him. Cash, I can kind of understand. Son, don't think so. I wouldn't sell him. Alexander-Arnold, wouldn't sell him. Coutinho, okay, yeah, maybe I would sell him because I never really liked him in the first place. Luis Diaz, I would consider if you're making a swap to Nunez, but that's a -4. Do we really need to do that? Rashford, no need to rush him out. Odegaard, never a good pick in the first place. Greenwood is just... It's hilarious how much we spoke all pre-season about don't pick Greenwood because he's going to drop down to 4.4 million. You can already see the makings of it. But so many, I'm just saying, so many of these players, who is transferring out Saka ahead of Leicester at home? Absolute madness. Reece James scored 7 points and people are taking him out. There are so few players in this list where they actually need to be rushed out, and I think people panic so much based on one game week. Jeremy's saying, cool, people dropping Perisic, get that price down. It's so true. It's so true. And I kind of did say that I wouldn't mind picking up Perisic for 5.4. And that's kind of what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that people are, in my opinion, not very bright and removing Perisic from their team. And at that point, I will capitalise on that and go grab Perisic for that cheaper price. That's kind of what I want to happen. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal pick. FPL Raptor says, roll the transfer unless you want to do Kane to Haaland. I think that's pretty much the basic advice. Yeah, and I do agree with that. Unless you've got some of these players, I don't think were ever really good picks in the first place. Coutinho, Odegaard, for example, Bernardo Silva. Cucurella, I think, give him a chance. He wasn't a good pick for game week 1, but, in the future, that could go pretty well. But most of these players, Tyrone Mings is maybe slightly mudded. Maybe he could be removed. Martial is obviously injured. Thiago is obviously injured. So some of these players, there is good reason to remove them. But most of these players you see on the most transferred out, I look at them and think, really, are we that impatient? Are we expecting instant results? Fair enough, hope for instant results, but it doesn't always come off that way. So yeah, I personally am advocating being patient. I think you guys should try and be patient if you can. We're gonna do one. What else can we do? Oh, let's before we wrap up, because I know this is a strategy stream, and the basic strategy is get Haaland if you want to get Haaland, and if not, there's very little reason to do anything, which is boring strategy. So I'm not going to... This isn't going to be an hour-long stream because there's not enough to say. I think game week 2 is when we need to start thinking about, actually being a little bit more proactive. We'll have a little bit of data. And then by game week 3, 4, 5, we'll be really able to strategize a little bit. But yeah, the strategy basically is don't use a wild card, don't make a transfer unless you want to get Haaland, and definitely don't use any of your chips. Noel says, I got Haaland before the price rise because I wanted to roll. But I wanted to roll. Do you think I made a mistake? Definitely not, Noel. I think, I think that's the one transfer move that I think we can all probably say is a good one. Outside of that, there's very few transfers I would actually really consider making. Maybe that's me personally. I don't know. Let's have a quick look at the stats from last game, because I wanted to order this actually by expected points. I appreciate this is really small. This, by the way, guys, is Fantasy Football Hub, a great, fantastic supporter of the channel for the month of August. Yeah, there were a few players here that kind of looked like they got unlucky. Dallo, for example, had over 7 expected points. He got 1 point. That seems a little bit harsh. So that's an example of where you genuinely probably did just get unlucky. It's not that your player didn't perform, it's just that you got unlucky. So Dallo owners, like, obviously he had a couple of good chances to score, didn't he? I would consider yourself very, very unlucky there, because he was expected 7 points based on the what he put forward to, and he only got 1. It's not as good as you perhaps thought. Then Donker, I don't think anyone has him. Sam Maximan, you know, he had a decent amount of shots. I think he had some of the most shots in the entire game week. So if we order by shots quickly, Maddison actually had the most shots, but we know what Maddison shots are like. They're from so far out that you know, do they really count? XG, you know, Haaland and Darwin at the top there. Pascal Gross, but I would like to see that over a couple of game weeks before jumping to him. Let's see who was the most creative players. Most key passes was Harrison with 7. That's a big one. I didn't spot that one before. Okay, so Harrison, 7 key passes and 2 big chances created. Maybe one to look out for, because that is a lot. Fair enough, he didn't take too many shots, but that is a significant amount. And yeah, maybe one to look out for. Interesting indeed. And yeah, I just wanted to quickly show that off. So yeah, guys, of course, still 50% off Fantasy Football Hub if you want to go check that out. And as is tradition, we're going to also look at the price rises and fallers. Do you remember when we used to do this last season? It was fun doing it last season. Okay, price rises and fallers. So today we are seeing, it looks like we're going to get 2 price rises today. And be aware of this, because it may price you out. Kulusevski, he's going to go up in price tonight. So is Martinelli. Now, I'll tell you basically how this works. And again, this is all on fantasyfootballhub.co.uk. Still 50% off. They've extended it. They're doing 50% off for the next, like, week and a half, 2 weeks, something like that. So if you haven't subscribed to Fantasy Football Hub, go check the link in the description for a discount and get it, because it has so many good tools that, you know, we're going to be using in videos, we're going to be using in streams, and they're amazing. And I love them. Yeah, Kulusevski's going up tonight. So basically, if the target here is over 100, it means that tonight, overnight, the player is going to go up in price. So we can see Kulusevski and Martinelli, their target is over 100. That means they're going to go up in price overnight. We can see Darwin is at 77. Maybe that creeps up by the time we get to, what is it, 2 a.m. UK time, where the prices change. It's something like that, but it depends on daylight saving time as well, which I can never remember. Pascal Gross is going to go up in price at some point this week, you would say, because he's at 59 target. You can imagine that gets to 100 by the end of the game week. Guys, don't be that guy. Don't be the gross knee-jerker. Don't be gross, guys. Don't be gross. But yeah, same with Fabian Schär, Saliba. Kind of a little bit knee-jerk, these kind of players. So yeah, stay away from them, but they will be rising in price. You can probably imagine that Ward is going to go to 4.1. Salah might go to 13.1 as well. Some of these other players. Let's just go to the next page. Trippier, Da Silva, Andreas, Patterson. Good to see him on the rise already. I think he'll have a good. I think he has the potential to get a few points over the coming game weeks as well. So it's kind of interesting. So yeah, all of these players look like they're going to go up. Let's go to the last page and see who's going to go down. So the next player to drop in price is probably going to be Marcus Alonso. No surprise really, because he's not really going to get game time. Will he even stay at Chelsea? Has he gone yet? He may have even gone by this point. Reguilon's going to drop in price. Thiago's going to drop in price. Gallagher, Watkins, Smith Rowe, Martial. All of these players you see on screen, you can probably imagine dropping down in price by the end of the game week. So just be aware, if you own any of these players and you want to sell them before their price drop, then be aware of that. It looks like Perisic is going to drop down in price this game week. So I would still really recommend keeping him. But non-Perisic owners, this presents us a real nice opportunity to pick him back up at 5.4. I would really like to do that. Ready, like for game week 3 to get Perisic at 5.4. I would love to do that. I would really love to do that. So there we go, a few players dropping in price. And a reminder, guys, if you feel like you really want to get one of these players, you really want to get Kulusevski, Martinelli, and the price, you are really, really tight on budget, you have nothing in the bank, you may have to make this transfer nice and early. So just be aware of that. Sahil says, who selected Alonso? Ben Foster, the Cycling GK, selected Alonso. So maybe he's one of the people selling him. Like, why did he do that? Why did he do that? Absolute madness. Darshan with the super chat here says, miss Kane to Haaland and now 0.2 short. Help, please. I mean, it's kind of up to you. If you are desperate to do this, then take a -4 and downgrade one of your other players. But look, I don't think it is completely essential. I don't think it's completely essential to remove Kane, because at the end of the day, yes, we've got this phenomenal fixture in game week 2 for Haaland, but after that, Wolves at home, Wolves now playing with a back four, looking a little bit shaky. The game week 4, Nottingham Forest away, and even the Chelsea game, it's only going to take a penalty. I mean, we saw Haaland with a penalty in game week 1. It swings both ways. You can't really predict when a player is going to get a penalty. Maybe Harry Kane is the next player to get a penalty. And Haaland doesn't get any penalties, and maybe, you never know, Kane outscores. It could happen. So I don't want you to panic too much. Kane is still a fantastic football player, isn't he? And he's got some good fixtures. Game week 6, Fulham at home. West Ham away, not ideal, but you back a player like Kane to score in that game. Whereas we may see Haaland, maybe get the occasional rotation, maybe come off a little bit early in some of these games. Look, I don't think it's absolutely essential that you make the transfer. Yes, it's obviously a good transfer move. But if you've missed your opportunity, don't panic too much. Don't panic too much. I think you'll be just fine without going for it. So there we go. I'm not going to keep you guys up here much longer. Again, shout out to Fantasy Football Hub for supporting the channel. They're absolute heroes. Make sure you follow me on Twitter for all things FPL, at FPL Mate, I guess. There's my points again. Terrible. There's the most transfer players in. Go check out the video I made earlier on today. It's another tier list. I think it's pretty good. Let me know what you think, because if you like the tier list video, we'll do that every week. But if you don't like it, or you think it needs some changes, then I'll absolutely take that advice. But for right now, guys, the advice is what we were kind of saying earlier. Kane to Haaland looks like a good transfer move. Anything else is a luxury transfer move that I don't think you need. I don't think you need to do. I think you absolutely need to do. So yeah, there we go. Like the stream if you don't mind. Subscribe. Shout out to all of those of you watching this live, and also a big shout out to those of you watching the replay. I'll see you tomorrow for the buy, sell, keep, avoid. Lovely to chat with you guys as always, and I will see you later, mates. Bye bye.